Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Venice, known as UCOV. My name is John Spitzer. I'm the worship associate for this morning's service. At UCOV, we try to create a community of support and love for anyone searching for their own spiritual or sacred path. No matter who you are or where you have come from, you are welcome here. We welcome those who have some of the answers, those who have none of the answers, those who aren't sure they are asking the right questions at all. And as I reflected on this, I realized if you actually have all of the answers, please see me after the service. We are a welcoming congregation. We welcome and affirm all people regardless of who they love or what pronouns they use. Please join us for refreshments and conversation on the lanai after the service, and while you're there, find out more about our church. We're glad you have chosen to worship with us and celebrate this Sunday. Visitors, if anyone is here for the first time and feels comfortable doing so, please raise your hand and someone will bring you a microphone and you can tell us your name and where you are from. We have one over there, one right here. Yes, good.
Good morning. I'm Sue Burgess, and I'm from Port Charlotte. I wanted to come up here and check you out because our choir has fallen apart down there, and I'm so disappointed. So I'm looking forward to music here. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Peggy Titus Hall. I live in South Venice. My husband and I were married in a Unitarian Universalist church in Rocky River, Ohio, just outside of Cleveland. And I was really connected with that organization, that congregation. And so I saw this online and I thought I'd pop in to see, what it's all about. And who do I find but a very dear friend of mine, Pauline Adam, at the welcome table. So I feel very welcomed. Thank you.
And do we have anyone who has just returned from being away for a while? Feel free to raise your hand. Any new? No? No? Okay. I have a few announcements today. First, if you haven't already done so, register to vote. Okay. Second, we have not as much debris as we had after Hurricane Ian, but we do have some debris around here. We have a quote for cleaning it up and taking it away, and as you might expect, right after a hurricane, they're not offering bargain basement rates. Okay. So we plan to send out a blast email asking who is available to volunteer. It would be dragging stuff out and taking it out to the curb. So that will be forthcoming. Okay. Does anyone else have announcements? Yes.
Well, John's talking about debris, and I think it's important to acknowledge the first force that was out here cleaning up, and that was our president, Steve Leapley. After the storm, he was here in person for 3 hours, making sure some of the worst of it was picked up and dragged to the curb. He also recognized that there was a lot more. So after Hurricane Ian, there was an amazing work crew that cleaned things up. No wages, all volunteers. So let's see what the e-blast turns up.
Gene, someone was helping Steve, I think. Who was it? Bob Knutson. Thank you, Bob.
Bob, and thank you for you and Steve. Give him a personal thanks.
One more announcement.
The audio batch system
Yeah.
And I have just one. I know there's a big birthday today. Would you like me to mention that? Serena has a big birthday, and we're going to help her celebrate with the cake out on the lanai later. Happy birthday, Serena. She's 39, I hear.
Okay. Thank you. We are now entering into a sacred space, so please silence all electronics. I think they did mine, yep. One of these simple intelligence tests. As the Jewish holiday of Rosh Hashanah began some years ago, then President Barack Obama said, "Jewish tradition teaches us that for the next 10 days, the book of life is open. As millions of Jews ask God to inscribe their names in that book, we recognize how much lies beyond our control. Yet during these days of awe, we recognize our tremendous power to make a difference in our lives and in our world. We light our chalice today in honor of our ability to change and heal the world."
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Reverend Amy, and I am so glad to see you all here today after our stormy, stormy week. Today we're talking about new beginnings, because every day is a new beginning and every day is a new chance. Not to make things right all at once, but to begin again. To begin to make it right, to begin to make it new, to begin. And today is your day. This moment is your moment. We are entering the days of awe and wonder, and the possibilities are endless. And that seemed important to talk about today as our nation begins to heal from a storm that was worse than we possibly could have expected. As Florida and Georgia and North Carolina are still reeling from the impact we remember that every day is a new beginning. So come and let us worship here together. Because Yukov is a welcoming and caring community, open to anyone who respectfully enters, and we encourage spiritual growth, we seek meaning, and we pursue justice together. Please join me now in reading the words of our covenant, which is the promise of how we will be together. In a climate of joy, goodwill, and trust, this congregation covenants to treat one another with kindness and respect, to listen with openness and acceptance, to support and protect the environment of which we are all a part, to solve problems responsibly as we grow and change, to encourage learning and nurture the growth of diverse human spirits, and to dedicate time, talent, and resources in an effort to make a difference in local and world communities. In the spirit of our free religious heritage, we promise these to one another. You know, covenant is one of the most important things that we as Unitarian Universalists have, because it's promises that we make to one another rather than rules imposed on us from above. And that's why we share this each week, to remind ourselves that we have decided these things. No one's making us do this. What an awesome thing that is. I ask you now to rise in body or spirit as you are willing, and join me in singing our opening hymn, number 95, There Is More Love Somewhere. This is our time where we take our offering, and every week we do the offering words with a little bit of levity, because offering shouldn't hurt. A UU minister had a church that was simply desperate for money, and as a result, he wasn't getting paid very much. And trying to make ends meet on his meager salary, he hired himself out to hold a graveside burial service at a small cemetery for a man who had no family or friends. Not knowing where the cemetery was, he made several wrong turns and got lost. And when he eventually arrived an hour late, the hearse was nowhere in sight. The backhoe was next to an open hole, and workmen were sitting under a tree and eating lunch. The diligent young pastor went to the open hole and looked and saw a cement lid already in place. And feeling very guilty because of his tardiness, he preached an impassioned and lengthy hour-long service, intending to send the deceased into the great unknown in style. As he returned to the car, he overheard one of the workmen say to the other, "Man, that was beautiful. I've been putting in septic tanks for 20 years, and I ain't never had anybody preach over it before." Not wanting to have to preach over septic tanks, this morning we will now take our offering, which will be given and gratefully received. Thank you so much for these gifts and for everything you do each week for the life and the work of this community. It's as a community of human hands and hearts that we come together here to bear witness and to minister to one another as we struggle with life's sorrows and celebrate life's joy. This is our time of sharing together, and you can raise a hand and someone will bring you a microphone. At any other time before or during the service, you can come up yourself and light a candle. During Joys and Concerns, we light candles for you. I want to share a terrible sorrow before we get started. I want us to hold in our hearts and minds this week the people of North Carolina, of Florida, of Georgia, all those who have been harmed so dreadfully by the storm, who are reeling in the aftermath. I also want to lift up also every politician who's being called to vote for or against climate change legislation. May they have wisdom.
Hello, I'm Jean Sibbers. For those of you that know my mother, Fran Beck, I want to let you know she's doing great. She's happy to be in Delaware near the family, and she's seeing a lot of the grandkids. So she's glad she made the move, but what she misses the most is her UU family here. The other thing, please keep the people of Western North Carolina in your thoughts. My husband's up there, and there's no electric, there's no water. It's truly a disaster. So, thank you.
I'm Linda Taylor, and a friend of mine who is the healthiest person I know and eats more healthy than anyone I know is tomorrow having triple bypass surgery. So please keep him in your thoughts.
Good morning, I'm Olga Hebert. I would like some candles lit this morning, and I'm not allowed to play with fire myself. One for my cousin Julie, who recently passed away. For my cousin Evelyn, who recently passed away. From my dear, dear friend, who I just found out this morning, in Vermont, Jenny Irvin passed away. And also for Stephanie Zornak, who was the heart and soul of the YRE program here.
I would just also mention in regards to Stephanie to keep her mom Carol Zornak and daughter Mackenzie Zornak, who we all know and love, in your thoughts. Thank you.
And for all those people who need some support on their road of transitions or surviving death and grief for loved ones, we have our program again. We had it last Wednesday. There were actually humans in the room. And we'll do it again the second and fourth Wednesday in Waters Hall at 1:30. Thank you.
Excuse me, I'm Tony McNair, new to this congregation, 25 years in a UU congregation in Fort Wayne. We lost a significant member of that congregation and had a funeral service in a setting not unlike this. And halfway through, a flight of geese went by the window, which I thought was a symbolic gesture. And if you were looking out the window, as some of us do, a flight of ibis just went by here under the window in view. So.
I do want to mention that when John and I lived in Iowa City, we attended the Mennonite church there, and we always regarded them with tremendous respect, because wherever there was a disaster in the United States, they would, if you imagine, anonymously turn up and participate in the rescue in whatever manner was needed. And they never sought media attention. It was just the nature of who the Mennonite people were.
May the love of this community hold all who need love and concern. May the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May we never look away when we're needed. May those who are grieving be comforted, and those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed, and may those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant. Please hold Stephanie's family in your heart this week. We will be having some kind of memorial later in the year around her birthday, but her mom didn't want anything right now. Carol is very tender right now, so we will be doing something later, though.
Our first reading today is entitled Grace by Richard Paul Evans. For most of my life, I have thought of grace as a hope of a bright tomorrow in spite of the darkness today. And this is true. In this way, we are all walking a road to grace, hoping for mercy. What we fail to realize is that grace is more than our destination. It is the journey itself, manifested in each breath and with each step we take. Grace surrounds us, whirls about us like the wind, falls on us like rain. Grace sustains us on our journeys, no matter how perilous they may be. And make no mistake, they are all perilous. We need not hope for grace, we merely need to open our eyes to its abundance. Grace is all around us, not just in the hopeful future, but in the miracle of now. Our meditation today is from Rosh Hashanah morning sermon by Rabbi Brett Kreischover. We are obligated to repair a broken world by bringing justice to it. And we are obligated to do this in the social sphere, to feel the responsibility for social improvement at every level, local and global. In the great collection of rabbinic thought, the Talmud, the rabbis taught, Whoever can stop their household from doing something wrong but does not stop them is punished for the wrongdoings of their household. If they can prevent their fellow citizens and do not, they are punished for the sins of their fellow citizens. And if the whole world, if they have the power or influence to direct the actions of the whole world, and they do not use that influence or that power, they are punished for the sins of the whole world. With those words in mind, please join me in 1 minute of silent thought, meditation, or prayer. Thank you. Our second reading is entitled Creating Fire by Stephen M. Schick. Is the fire going out? Not in your belly, for you are alive, but in your soul, that place where dreams fuel commitment, where longing shapes action, where meaning flames purpose, where passion ignites and rekindles your life fire. If your soul smolders, dream on till you flame like a chalice of hope. Now please rise in body or spirit and join in singing number 30, Over My Head, verses 1, 2, and 4.
When I was choosing the words for meditation, I had to think about them long and hard because we come at this a little differently. We don't believe that there is some immortal being out there punishing us for things we've done or others have done, or at least many of us don't believe that. But instead of punishment, I might use the word responsibility. That if we know that our house isn't doing it right, we have a responsibility. And if we know that our church and our town and our country, we have a responsibility. Now, in parts of the activist community, when you talk about responsibility, there's a word you might hear, and that word is woke. What does it mean? It means you're awake and aware of what is happening in the world. And more than that, woke means that you're taking responsibility for your role, that you're seizing your agency, your power, and you're using it to help restore justice. Now, woke has been used as a bad word lately. For any of you who've been watching TV for the last 5 years, you'll hear woke used to refer to people who are so open-minded that all of their brains have fallen out. The far right talk about the woke media and wokies. Some groups use it to mean anyone who's out there using identity politics to claim victimization. I heard them talking about a woke school that wanted to put in litter boxes so that the kids who think they're cats have somewhere to go potty. I assure you that doesn't really happen. Nobody's putting in litter boxes. That is not wokeness. None of these definitions are right. And do you have to use the word woke? No. I don't care what you call it. Call it responsible. Getting woke is about refusing to just accept the story that you are being fed or that you have been writing in your own head on how the script should go. Getting woke means that you see how the world has really been and that you're aware of how the world can be and you're prepared to help make a change if necessary. The idea of getting woke is a call to action. Getting woke is a refusal to accept things the way they are. Because when you wake up, you see what needs to be changed. And there's no better time to wake up, to get woke, than today when we are talking about the upcoming Jewish New Year, Rosh Hashanah. It starts on October 2nd this year. And when you celebrate Rosh Hashanah, one of the first things you hear is the sounding of the shofar, the ram's horn. And you blow one loud ringing sound and then 7 more blasts. It sounds almost like somebody in tears, gasping for breath. And there's a reason for this. The great Jewish scholar Rabbi Moshe ben Mammon has written in the Laws of Repentance that the commandment to sound the shofar, although based in holy writing, has a reason behind it. It's to awaken those who have not seen the problems with previous behavior. I guarantee you, somebody blast one of those anywhere near you, you will awaken from whatever you are doing. The horn blast calls you to examine your life, to get woke, wake up, to see what is real, to say with certainty, I can make it different if that is what needs to happen. So the shofar startles you awake. And waking up is a beautiful thing. Opening your eyes from a troubled sleep and seeing the light again, knowing that you can go forward into it, knowing that you can welcome others into that same sunlight of hope and joy, it's a beautiful thing. And you can see this in some traditional writing in the Hebrew Bible, in the book of Micah. The Israelites were all a little nervous. They wanted to know exactly what their God would demand of them. In modern terms, did he want their cars? Did he want their computers? Would they have to give up eating good food or going out dancing? Did they have to sacrifice their kids' education and give all their money away to make up for anything bad they had done? They were nervous. And they said, Micah, tell us, do we have to mope around and give up everything we own? Does the Lord take delight in thousands of rams and in 10,000 rivers of oil? Does he want my truck? Does he want my expensive perfume? Does he want my Dolce & Gabbana bag? Shall I present my firstborn for my rebellious acts? Here, kill the kid. I did something bad. The fruit of my body for the sins of my soul. How do I say I'm sorry? And Micah said, come on now, that's silly. That's silly. He already told you what he wanted. He told you, humans, what is good and what he still wants. Do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly. And I'll tell you, I believe in this so much that I had it tattooed on my arm. Do justice, love kindness, walk humbly. It boils down that easily. And the beauty of it is that you can start today. And the beauty is you don't have to believe in God. Nobody cares. Do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly. That's simple for anybody. Doesn't matter what divine being or religion you do or don't believe in. It doesn't matter how deeply asleep you've been. It doesn't matter how full of brambles and missteps and pits and alligators the path that you have been on has been. Today, you can take a step toward the sun. There is always light. Do good, Do justice, love kindness, walk humbly, and there will be light. Lin Yutang said, hope is like a road in the country. There was never a road, but when many people walk on it, the road comes into existence. Anne Lamott said almost the same thing. Hope begins in the dark. The stubborn hope that if you just show up and try to do the right thing, dawn will come. Show up and do the right thing. Nothing flashy. You don't have to be Kim Kardashian. You don't have to get out there with a big sign. You don't have to wear a good guy badge. In 2009, the woman named Evelyn, very elderly, she lived in a nursing care center where I was working. She had beautiful blue eyes and long white hair that used to be blonde, and a terribly strong German accent. Sometimes she forgot words in English and would struggle in German to figure out what she was going to say. And one day she saw my Star of David necklace, and she said, I have one of those too, one of them's. And she had me go get her little treasure box, and in the bottom, wrapped up in tissue, was this little tiny Star of David in silver filigree. Now, Evelyn was wealthier. She couldn't have been at the nursing home. And so I was already writing the story in my head because I knew she had no numbers tattooed on her arm. And I could have written this story in my sleep. I knew she went to the local Methodist church. I was all ready to hear how her rich Jewish family had left Germany ahead of the war and converted to Christianity. I was absolutely asleep listening to her. And I said something stupid like, oh, that's so pretty. Was your family Jewish? And she looked at me, and in her quiet little voice, she said, Nein, wie was National Socialist? And I knew I stood there like an absolute idiot, my face utterly blank. And I'm sure she wasn't sure how much of an idiot I was, so she said, wie was Nazis? And I didn't know what to say. It's one of the few times in my loudmouth life I was absolutely flabbergasted. Wie was Nazis? As I stood there wearing my Star of David, being married to my Orthodox Jewish husband. And all I could think to say is, please tell me. And in 1939, Evelyn lived in Schonenberg, outside of Berlin, and she was 16, and her blonde, blue-eyed older brother, Henry, was 22. And one day he came home and he told his family he'd gotten a new job. He had joined the party and he was going to be helping enforce the Jewish curfew. And he was very excited because he would have a gun. And he wanted her father to be more active in the party to help his chances of promotion. And for a bit her father was, and her mother started to go to the women's meetings. And then their Jewish friends and neighbors started to disappear. And then they were all gone, removed to Jewish housing. And then there was a night when her blonde, blue-eyed brother told them that he was going to work at one of the new camps and that he had arranged a job there for her father. And after Henry left that night to go to work, her father whispered to Evelyn and her mother that they were going to escape to America and that they could not tell her brother. And she said, my father scared me. He shook me by the arms and said, you cannot tell. Do you understand? You cannot tell. And this is where I got confused. And I thought maybe she was too because of her age. And I said, Evelyn, I've met your brother. He came in last week. He has, well, he used to have anyway, black hair. You can still tell. It's curly and brown eyes. And I've seen the pictures you've shown me from the 50s and 60s. He had black hair. And she smiled and she said, before we left, my father found that there was a Jewish family next door that we knew that had been taken away. But their son had been out looking for food when they were taken, and he was hiding in their cellar. He was 15, but he was big. He was a big boy. So big that you might believe that he was 22. She said, we gave him the papers, and he was no longer Herschel. He was my brother Henry, and we brought him with us. I said, but you were Nazis, and he was a Jew. She smiled, and she said, we woke up. I felt like I got hit with a hammer. You know, they got woke. They woke up. They took responsibility. You don't have to use the jargon. Use the idea. They took responsibility. They dared to see what was. And they dared to change the world. Rosh Hashanah is a reminder that good or bad, all the things you've done, it's over. We're at a new point. It's never too late to find hope, to choose joy, to start again. Your new year doesn't have to be today. It can be any day. It can be tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow and the day after that. Any moment you can choose to say, here is where I begin. Mary Pickford said, if you've made a mistake, there's always another chance for you. You may have a fresh start any moment you choose, for this thing we call failure is not the falling down, it's the staying down. Don't let the world keep you on the ground. This country goes through cycles, awake and asleep over and over. We hear about some new atrocity and we stir ourselves. Social media, news outlets explode, and for a few days we wake up. There's a flood, there's a hurricane, someone shot, Palestine or Israel's bombed, there's a protest, and then we go back to sleep. As if we can't see the hope, the promise of success right in front of us. If only we reach out. President Obama said it, the best way not to feel hopelessness is to get out and do something. Don't wait for good things to happen to you. If you go out and make good things happen, you'll fill the world with hope. You'll fill yourself with hope. We hold the keys to change the world, one piece, one bite at a time, one protest sign, one life, sometimes one cup of coffee, one Facebook post. We are the hope. And we can never be hopeless because we can never be denied another chance to make it right. As long as we have breath, we are the change. We are the hope. We're the joy. G.K. Chesterton said, to love means loving the unlovable. To forgive means pardoning the unpardonable. Faith means believing when everything is unable to believe the unbelievable. Hope means hoping when everything seems hopeless. Get woke. Wake up. Take responsibility for the hope. Because you absolutely are the light of the world. And the shofar has sounded. Good morning. Wake up. Amen. May we hold our chalice in our heart so that wherever we go, we can bring light. And please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 6, Just as Long as I Have Breath. each of our hearts there is a most glorious light. Go forth and spread the warm glow of love, pushing back the darkness. Share your glorious light with the world. Peace, ashe, and may it be so. Amen.